all is not well in Notland, which is a new country I just made up. It only has maggots and people who are auditioned to be future members of Slipknot because that's the direction they're heading in. Their most recent drummer, Jay Weinberg, son of Max Weinberg, has been fired. I think this is a terrible decision. It's taken him a few years to sort of grow into the band, but he has. It happened.
Wow.
Joey Jordison, R.I.P. And by the way, if this gets clipped, I'm not saying Jay Weinberg is better than Joey. I'm not even saying he's better than Joey and Slipknot. I just think that he's grown into the band and has landed.
Gelled.
He's gelled. He's found his voice in the
Congealed.
band. And I feel like going forward, he was starting to be on a trajectory where, to me, he was just as good as Joey and maybe could have surpassed, but they didn't give him that opportunity. So that's just to clarify. Okay, let's watch this video.
Do it.
Slipknot is finished.
What if I told you that Slipknot was never created to be just a band, but rather a musical franchise focused on its brand instead of its lineup? Today, nearly half of the band is comprised of independent contractors.
Okay, so who's gone? We got Craig Jones, keyboards, gone.
Yeah.
Chris Fehn, percussion, gone. Paul Gray, bass, deceased. Joey Jordison, drums, deceased.
Sad.
We got 4 people who's still in the band. The 2 guitarists, Jim Root and other guy, Corey Taylor, Sean, and Sid Wilson, DJ. Okay, fine. So this guy, Clown, he's in charge of the band.
Slipknot's founding members have even hinted at a business model resembling a touring Broadway production, and fans aren't happy. To truly understand how we got here, we must first examine the band's shady history of abruptly parting ways with former members, starting with drummer Jay Weinberg. Slipknot announced Weinberg's dismissal via its social media on November 5th, 2020.
I find it very ironic that we purchased Slipknot t-shirts within 24 hours before this announcement.
Yeah.
How weird is that?
Right?
23, citing creative differences. Fans were immediately devastated, as the drummer's impressive skills and showmanship had rapidly endeared him to the fan base since joining in 2000.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was saying.
Yeah, we like him now.
We like him now. We warmed up to him. We, the fans, fuck with Jay Weinberg now.
His journey was made all the more inspiring as he had been a lifelong Slipknot fan, even recreating a childhood photo of him.
Oh, that's so cute. It's baby Jay with his father Max, the drummer of Bruce Springsteen, meeting one of the members of Slipknot.
Sadly, Weinberg's childhood dream has suddenly been cut short. Weinberg is far from the first member Slipknot lost. There are 4 others, including bassist Paul Gray, who inadvertently started a civil war within the band that nearly resulted in their disintegration.
Whoa, really? That's crazy, because I didn't know that. They have an album named after him. So it's really interesting that like he caused a civil war, and the history that they've written about him after his death has been positive. Like that's what that's what I've been fed. This is very insightful Slip Chat.
Enlightening.
Gray was adored by fans for his songwriting abilities as well as his frequent expressions of gratitude towards them. Unbeknownst to many, however, the beloved bassist was struggling with a crippling addiction behind the scenes, with his wife Brenna regularly finding him passed out in their home or discovering used needles he had hidden away. By May of 2010, Paul and Brenna were expecting a baby girl, and Brenna would attempt to stage an intervention for her husband, reaching out to his bandmates in Slipknot for help. To her despair, despite frequently referring to themselves as a family within their songs, not one member of the band was willing to get involved. According to Brenna, one bandmate was playing golf just 2 minutes away from their home on the day of Gray's intervention, but still refused to attend. When Gray's family finally confronted him about his drug abuse, he fled to the Town Place Suites Hotel in Urbandale, Iowa. He never returned home, as only 2 days later, Gray was found dead in room 431. A hotel employee reported that there was a hypodermic needle found near Gray's body, and that several pills were scattered around the room. Autopsy results showed that Gray had died of an overdose of morphine and fentanyl. Gray's first and only daughter, October, was born just 3 months later. The bass player's death deeply affected Slipknot, particularly the band's founding drummer, Joey Jordison, who was never quite able to come to terms with the loss.
I'd just like to say that
that I miss my brother so much.
If you fucking love your bros, you have to show up for them. Give them a space to emotionally process shit. Because it's not the addiction that kills people. It's what they're trying to run away from.
Right.
Whatever emotion they're trying to avoid.
I think the culture has changed in this way since Slipknot's pinnacle because, 20 years ago, I think it was a lot more normalized to like be shitty to your bros.
Jordison would attempt to deal with this grief by channeling his sorrow into the creation of the next Slipknot album. However, during that time, lead singer Corey Taylor was busy recording an album with his side project, Stone Sour, which created tension between him and Jordison. Though Jordison would constantly say in interviews that he wanted to get the band back into the studio as soon as possible, Taylor publicly rejected the idea and stated that he was not yet ready to write a Slipknot album without Gray, and perhaps never would be.
I let him know. I was like, man, I don't know when I'm going to be ready to do this. To be quite honest, I'm nowhere near ready to make an album.
Jordison responded aggressively, stating that Slipknot was his baby and that the band would carry on with or without Corey Taylor.
I have a bunch of songs written.
Like, I know he's saying that, but it's like, you're Destiny's Child. Corey Taylor's kind of Beyonce.
I love Joey's Goons.
Yeah.
These might be members of his other band, the Murder Dolls.
I don't know.
Joey Jordison had a bunch of other bands that were all...
Mid?
No, below mid. To my ears.
I mean, I think these fits
Murder Dolls.
The fits explain it all to me.
This could be the Murder Dolls. I don't know.
Okay.
And as far as Slipknot's concerned, it will always exist with him or without him.
I mean, he is right about that, though.
You think so? Well,
Yes.
I mean, that's the whole point. They've made it a
Yes.
franchise.
I'm more sure of that than Joe Biden becoming the president again.
Wow. I like that you feel strongly about the knot. I like that we're a pro-knot household.
We're pro-not, but there's a lot of drama behind the scenes, apparently.
Apparently.
A few years later, Slipknot would fire the drummer via email without so much as the courtesy of a face-to-face meeting.
Wow.
Fans immediately began to turn on Slipknot, which is evident from the comments on metal news websites from that time. "You can't replace Joey," wrote one fan. "It's going to be hard to find anyone near close to him that plays with that passion that makes Slipknot."
Which is all the more reason why us as the fan base are so impressed with Jay Weinberg.
Yeah.
He filled big shoes.
He really did.
And he practiced his ass off and he did it.
And he's
fucking
a
did it.
lifelong fan.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny that they're saying that like Slipknot is like more of a business entity because if you think about it, they did give him a great storyline for us.
Totally.
Right? Where we want to see him when he was a lifelong Slipknot fan, worked his ass off to get there. Like, we love that.
They're both killer. I love Joey. I love Jay.
No Joey equals no Slipknot. For years, there was no clear explanation for Jordison's departure from the band, leading fans to worry that drug use may have been a factor. Like Paul Gray, Jordison had a history of addiction. He had also gained a significant amount of weight, causing concern among fans that he might be struggling with alcoholism as well. Corey Taylor would only ignite further speculation when asked if Jordison's dismissal was related to substance abuse during a 2014 interview with Metal Hammer. "He's just in a place in his life right now that's not where we are," replied Taylor. "There's only so far that I can give an explanation." After years of silence, Jordison revealed in June of 2016 that, towards the end of his time in Slipknot, he began suffering from transverse myelitis, a neurological disease that causes inflammation in the spinal cord, and robbed him of his ability to play drums. His bandmates mistook his illness for drug addiction, which led to him getting kicked out of the band. Despite Jordison's denial, medical research has shown that transverse myelitis can arise as a complication of addiction to heroin and cocaine, further pointing to drug abuse problems with Jordison. Things took a tragic turn on July 26, 2021, when a 911 call was made outside of Jordison's home by his ex-girlfriend, Amanda Victoria. She stated that Jordison's family had not heard from him in days and described him as, quote, "a really bad alcoholic with health issues." In the most emotional part of the call, Amanda stated that when she entered the house to check on Jordison, she was immediately greeted by a foul smell that led her to believe that he was dead and had been for some time. When law enforcement finally arrived, her worst fears were confirmed. Joey had passed away alone, and no one was sure when. He was only 46. With Corey Taylor stating that the band wanted to make sure fans knew that, although Jordison was gone, he was still a part of the Slipknot family, and always would be. The same could not be said for former Slipknot percussionist Chris Fehn, who had the most controversial exit from the band, and single-handedly exposed the group's shady business practices to the world. Clown and Corey Taylor were taking in more money than the rest of the band, and subsequently filed a lawsuit against them. According to the complaint, point, Slipknot was organized as a partnership, which was consistent with the band's portrayal of its 9 members as a family. However, the band's manager, Rob Shore, would state that Chris was merely an employee and not a shareholder, owner, or member of any business entity related to Slipknot.
Wow.
Shore further revealed that the only controlling members of the band were Clown and Corey Taylor, indicating that the band is now more of a business than a brotherhood. And fans were shocked. Corey Taylor and the rest of Slipknot are money-hungry assholes, wrote one fan. They preach empty words of being a family, but show who they really are when money gets involved.
Yeah, that's
Joey
like
and
working
Chris
for
are two perfect
Starbucks,
examples.
you know, or like any other corporate job, right? If you work anywhere and they say, we're like a family here, fucking run.
Do you know who told me that?
Who?
Kathy at Sargent House.
Not surprised.
Sargent House we're a family. Oh yeah. Family fucking drops their artist off their label within 2 years with no explanation and no heads up. Yeah, that's what family members do to each other. Yeah, that makes
As soon
that's
as
a fucking family.
as soon as you say family, I'm like, oh, you're bad. It's toxic here. You're gonna overwork me, underpay me, undervalue me, treat me like shit. You're gonna give me fucking trauma.
Became
Right.
even more heartbreaking when, after Slipknot fired Fehn, an old interview resurfaced where Fehn disclosed that he had been having problems with his bandmates since the beginning of his time with the group.
Yeah, they apparently bullied him.
To understand Slipknot back then is really difficult because it's like such mental abuse. That was pretty much the hazing part for me. Never getting any love from the guys at all. They wouldn't let me record. Like halfway through the record, they just wouldn't let me record on any of the songs, and it was just a really hard time.
Fehn eventually settled
Fuck.
his
Wow.
Yeah, they just might be assholes.
As the president of the Dumb Bitch Committee, this all tracks for
Right.
me. Of course I would love Slipknot. And they're actually ain't shit men that are mean to each other and have drug problems.
and retreated from the public eye. That is, until June of 2023, when Fehn gave his first post-Slipknot interview to the Drum for the Song podcast.
The fans really were the only part that was great for me. That stage performance and seeing them and seeing the reaction was the best part.
Guy looks like a
The
strip
rest
club
of it can
regular.
f*** off.
Fehn expressed his dissatisfaction with the band's demanding tour schedule and the egos of his bandmates, which is now even more relevant in light of keyboardist Craig Jones's departure from Slipknot on June 7th, 2023.
Yeah.
The announcement of Jones's exit was as shocking as it was sudden, causing immediate backlash on social media with comments such as, "RIP Slipknot, half of their classic lineup is gone," as well as, "It's so sad to see how much this band has become a brand and a business."
Damn, we
Some
bought
fans would
into
even
it.
resort to extreme measures.
Yeah, we bought 2 t-shirts.
We literally just bought, I'm like, damn,
We literally bought into the brand.
we bought into the brand.
We're suckers.
Stacey Thompson, who was married to guitarist Mick Thompson, posted
Mick Thompson, that's the other guitarist.
a message on her Instagram to inform fans that Jones departed because of personal issues in his life, writing, "Some things are far too deep, painful, and intricate to just paint all over the front page of social media. They are concerned that the band will follow in the footsteps of Kiss, who have received backlash for hiring replacement musicians to impersonate the original members. But interestingly enough, there are several clues from
I mean, Kiss hasn't been the original lineup for a while, outside of Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
Yeah, they put on a hell of a show.
years past
I
that
love
seem
corporate zombie band.
Right.
that this may have been the plan all along. Upon their formation, the members of Slipknot collectively decided to wear masks and jumpsuits so that the audience's attention would be directed towards their music rather than the individual musicians. Furthermore, many members of Slipknot, including the late Joey Jordison, have also expressed how influential Kiss was to them during their formative years. In a 2011 interview with Metal Hammer, Jordison emphasized that Slipknot's importance is not tied to its individual members, stating, "Slipknot's not about who's in the band. It's a lifeblood. It's a force. It's about a connection between a bunch of people."
It just sounds like word salad, meaningless word salad to me.
Everything out their mouth. Lies, lies, lies.
Where he expressed his desire for Slipknot to live on forever by having new members replace current ones and continuing the cycle indefinitely. An approach that just so happens to coincide to what Kiss co-founder Gene Simmons suggested in a 2022 interview, where he proposed that his band could continue as a rock and roll franchise in the future. Moreover, in a 2023 interview, Slipknot's frontman Corey Taylor made the startling revelation that he won't be in the band for much longer.
Maybe I've got another 5 years left. If they wanted to continue and I wanted to retire, I would help them find somebody. This band
That's interesting.
has always been bigger than the sum of its own parts.
Whether fans like it or not, the fact that nearly half of Slipknot is now comprised of hired musicians suggests that the band may already be transitioning into a more modular business model similar to that of the Blue Man Group or Cirque du Soleil, who perform around the world without a fixed lineup.
I love this guy's narrator voice.
Art, Kiss will be ending their career in 2023 after 50 years together as a band and a staggering total of 11 lineup changes, utilizing a sum of 57 musicians both on stage and in the studio. So if fans are hoping for 25 more years of Slipknot, they may have to get comfortable with the idea of their favorite band slowly morphing into a performance art company right before their very eyes.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna get some weed.
So sad. So sad. So sad.